Ever since I was in high school, I always had this strong desire to be a father. I figured I had to do a better job than my dad did with me, but I always wanted that beautiful, special feeling of a little being calling me daddy. I was gay. I put the idea out of my head and I lived my life like this was never, ever gonna happen. When I met my partner in the early 90s, I found out he wanted children too. So about 3 or 4 years into our relationship, we started pursuing this very seriously. Now, mind you, this was at a time that gay adoption wasn't even permissible in most states, and same-sex marriage, decades away. But we were insistent. We got a lawyer. We signed up for adoption agencies. We were taking parent classes. We were fostering kids. We even set up an investment account. We called it the Daddy Fund, and every week we religiously put money into the Daddy Fund from our paychecks for our future child's education. There was a lot against us for this ever happening. Pete had an AIDS diagnosis, and that automatically disqualified him, his HIV status, from adoption. On top of that, he was starting to develop a really deep-seated clinical depression, and he was spending more and more time committed to psychiatric institutions. And as sick as he got, he kept saying to me, Richard, do not touch the Daddy Fund, leave it be. And I honored his wishes. I figured, this probably was his last hope that things might get better. Things didn't get better. When Pete died, a lot of my dreams died with him, and one of those biggest dreams was the dream of ever being a dad. About a year after he died, my friends and my family were riding me real hard. You gotta get back into the world. You gotta start dating. Go online. I'm a neophyte to all this online stuff. But being a people pleaser, I figured, what the fuck? I signed up for every gay app at once. I was on OkCupid. I was on Grindr and Scruff and Tinder. I was on Squirt, and I wrote profiles for every one of those. And lo and behold, in 2 short weeks, I achieved something that eluded me since my adult life started. I became a daddy. My inbox was full. Hey daddy, sup daddy? Into daddy? Sexy daddy. Hey daddy, I need to be punished. Can you punish me, daddy? I took a little bit of time off from answering ads and I figured I better bone up on, no pun intended, but I had to bone up. I had to bone up on this terminology of what's a daddy? What's a twink? What's a bear? What's an otter? Top and bottom I knew. Power top, power bottom still confused me a little bit, but I was getting there. One Sunday I'm in my apartment and I hear the all familiar dun-dun-dun, the tone from one of the gay apps that meant somebody's on the prowl. And I read, hey daddy, what's up? Ethan here, wanna meet up? I gave him my standard answer. Hi, Ethan, my name's Rich. I don't ever use daddy. You want to meet at the coffee shop on Rivington in about 20 minutes? So I met him. Nice guy, 32, 33 years old, really handsome. He said he was a performance artist, probably explained a little of his quirky behavior, and true to his age, he never took his nose out of his cell phone once. Finished my coffee, thanked him for a nice visit, and headed home. I was no sooner in the door to my apartment that I hear doo-doo-doo. Hey, Daddy Richard. Thanks for visiting. Great time. Want to see you again. You are really, really sexy. I didn't answer him. The next night, doo-doo-doo. Hey, Daddy Richard, in your hood? I'm in the hood. Want to hook up? For my homework, I knew that hookup was a little bit stronger than meetup, so I figured, what the fuck? I'm doing this. So I texted him and I said, I'm cooking dinner right now. If you want to come by for some food, I can feed you if you want. He actually asked me if it was a vegan meal. Weirdly enough, it was. So he came by. We had a nice dinner together. It was really nice. At the end of the meal, he took his shoes off. And he went to my sofa and he put his feet up and he reclined down. And I figured, that's the invite. So I said, hey, Ethan, I give really good foot massages. You want one? He said, yeah. So I put his feet in my lap and I sit down and I'm massaging him, and 1:30 into it, and I was timing it, 1:30, I gave him this really awkward kiss right on the elbow. That's all I could reach was his elbow. And his eyes open up a little bit, and he starts sitting up, and his face is getting closer to mine. And I thought he's gonna kiss me, and I started tingling all over. And he whispered into my ear, "Sweet. Anything further than that, and it's gonna be $400 for the night." I jumped up. He went rolling across my living room floor, and I started sputtering, "What the fuck? You didn't tell me? I didn't know. What's going?" Then I finally figured, take the magnanimous approach. I said, "Ethan, I believe sex work can be dignified, but you gotta be up front." And he said, "I was gonna tell you before dinner, but the food was so good." Then I used the stupidest line on him in the world. I said, "You know something, Ethan? This relationship just isn't gonna work out." I put his shoes on and I kicked him out. The next morning, I woke up, I took some time off from work, and I went to the bank. And it was the first time since Pete died, I withdrew money from my banking account and I put it into my daddy account in the amount of $400. My nieces and nephews can use that money someday. I survived that hot mess of a dating fiasco, and I'm no worse off for wear. I am dating again, age appropriately, but I am dating again. And one thing that's really weird in me is one thing that has disappeared completely from my life at this time is that desire to ever be a daddy, in any sense of the word. Thank you.